What's up, everybody? Here we are again. You are tuning in and listening to the most wonderful podcast for the universe. Real quick before we get started with everything, I want to give a shout out to Brooke Miller. She's a listener of the podcast, a fan of the podcast, I'm assuming, because she just took the extra step and donated some love in the form of cash. So huge shout out to Brooke. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. If you are unaware or you didn't know, maybe you didn't know, but if you go to our website, energyislovepodcast.com, down at the bottom, there's a little button that says donate. So if you are so inclined, by all means, click on that and throw us some cash, throw us some love. Everything that is donated to the podcast goes directly back to the podcast. So follow in the footsteps of those before you. And like I said, if you are so inclined, by all means, go donate. And even if you just want to sit back and think positive thoughts and send positive energy for the podcast, we love that shit too. But go subscribe, share, tell people, do all of those things that we talk about or that I talk about all the time for the podcast, for the universe. Remember, energyislovepodcast.com. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, As Above, So Below. As Above, So Below is the coolest, most amazing, incredible little metaphysical shop located in Roy, Utah. So if you are in Roy or if you are in the northern part of the state, by all means, drop by and say hello to everyone at As Above, So Below. When you think about your spiritual journey, your life, your experience in the space of energy healing or just expansion, all of the things that you could possibly need, want, or desire can be found at As Above, So Below. Coming up on August 13th is going to be their fall metaphysical fair. It's going to be an all-day event, so it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to come out and check out the shop if you haven't yet, as well as check out all the vendors and healers and readers and everything that they're going to be having. Remember, mark your calendars, August 13th. And while you're at it, go like their Facebook, show them some love. You can find them through our website. If you click on the sponsors tab, you'll see the link for As Above, So Below. On today's episode, episode 89. Yeah, that's right, because 88 was the last episode with my wonderful wife. On today's episode, I have Mark Westside Johnson. So way back at the beginning of the podcast, Mark was episode number 2. He was my second interview for the podcast. Mark and I have known each other for a long time. I used to train jiu-jitsu with Mark back in the day. He's just an amazing guy. He's somebody that I love chatting with, somebody I like talking to. He's got a lot of really good insight in regards to just life in general. So we get to catch back up and see what he's been up to, see what his life's been like over the past year. We get to learn a little bit more about Mark in this episode as well, which is kind of neat. He has his own jiu-jitsu school up in Ogden, Utah. It's called Westside Jiu-Jitsu. I think he's a philosopher, even though he probably wouldn't call himself that. He's got copious amounts of wisdom that he kind of throws out there and shares with anyone and everyone. I would highly recommend that you go and follow Mark on Facebook, not just for a laugh most of the time, but he's also, like I said, very deep, thought-provoking kind of guy. If you click on the show notes, you'll be able to find links to his stuff. Also, if you go to our Facebook page, you'll be able to see all of the links to follow him and all that kind of jazz that we do. But for now, you get to sit back and enjoy this entertaining, funny, thought-provoking, deep at times, wonderful episode of the podcast with my kick-ass guest, Mark Johnson. Here we go.
You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Yeah, we'll call that good. I was trying to get the quietest that I could get, but
We can always move back there if you want.
this is perfect, man. This works.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time again.
Of course.
86 episodes later.
Dang, man. That's crazy. That's really good testament. That's good.
Well, I can't believe, I was thinking about it on the way up here. I can't believe that, it's been that long and that
Yeah.
I've done that many episodes, and I've continued to follow your journey and all the shit that you've been doing and all the cool stuff that you've been up to.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to touch bases again and have you come back on.
All right, cool. I'm glad to be here.
So I think when we recorded last, a long time ago, I think you were just wrapping up, and whether the school year was out or it was getting close to out, but basically you were ending that part of your life.
Right. Yeah. So I was finishing 21 years of high school English teaching. And so actually, let's see, at the end of this month, August, that'll be my first year away from the school,
Yeah.
And it's been good, man. I drive my car or ride my bike past there all the time. Middle finger right in the air, like, yeah. And that's nothing towards any kids. Like I probably said this before, but it just feels good to be,
To be out of that, right?
I wouldn't say free. I mean, because I'm not free to do whatever I want, but I have a lot of choices that I felt like I didn't have working for somebody else,
Do you think that's probably like the biggest difference for you that you've noticed over this past year?
That's a big difference. And then also my weaknesses as a human being keep popping up. Like, man, how am I going to eat today, And it's not even bad. It's a good thing. It's an awesome thing. Like, okay, this bill is coming up. And before, everything's pretty safe. You're like, okay, even if I'm doing a shitty job, I'm still going to get paid.
Yeah, it's much easier to plan.
Yeah. And so you're like, oh, yeah, I'll be fine. And now it's like, well, let's see if I can pay all my bills. And it's not even the same kind of stress. It's a stress, but it's not anywhere near as stressful as doing a job that you don't really like to do, or you're not 100% in agreement with. Like I was saying before about all the testing, school testing, and I just couldn't get behind that. And so even now I'm like, yeah, screw that, man. And the funny thing is, I don't know, it doesn't really matter what you believe in, but something takes care of you. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I don't know, you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it the Tao, whatever you want to call it. Something is taking care of me, like, oh shit, I can't pay this bill. It's like $300. And then, boop, 3 people sign up for jiu-jitsu. Or, oh, dude, I forgot to pay you for the last 3 months here. I'm like, oh, yes, thank you. In my mind, I'm like, yes, I got it. It's a great feeling. I like it.
So I've had this conversation with my wife before, because it's been just over 2 years I think it's just been over 2 years since I haven't had like a job per se, right?
Yeah.
Working for myself and trying to do that hustle or whatever.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me, like earlier this year, I sat back and I realized, like, do we still have stress? Yeah. Do we still stress about money and finances and paying bills? We do. Mm-hmm. But I realized that it wasn't any more stressful than it was when we both were working full time and had those regular paychecks.
Yeah.
And the fact was, we still had the stresses, but all the added stuff on top of it that we no longer had.
Right.
And then all the things that we now had the opportunity to experience and benefit.
Yep.
It made that stress about money and finances and paying bills way, way less.
It's minimal, man. It's minimal. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yes, I get to, some days suck. I'm like, dang, I don't want to deal with this person, or I don't want to do that. But 98% of the time when I wake up, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Yeah, I got bills, but I always have bills. That's not going anywhere. But, I can get up, I can do this, I can do that. That's, to me, I'm hesitant to call it freedom, but it's damn close, really close.
How come you're hesitant?
Well, because I don't think we're actually free. I mean, if I'm paying bills, I'm not free.
Yeah.
I might be tied to my house because I made that decision to buy a house, but I'm still tied to it and I'm not free from it. But you can't really, if I got to eat, you're not free from hunting stuff down or making money to get some bread or whatever. You're tied to it. You're not, so you're just not, you're just not, you're not free, but it's not a bad thing.
Yes.
Just, you're committed to some things. I'm tied to some things. That's part of being a human. We're just connected to some things. We can't be free from it all.
Do you, have you had enough time away from it, or have you been in this space of trying to move through life in such a different way that you have some clarity in it, or do you feel like you're still kind of finding your way and figuring things out?
It might be a little close still, but I don't think so. It's I just have the same I'm in the same mind frame as when I stopped teaching. I'm still like, dude, I want to do stuff. I just want to do things. I'm going to die in however many days, and I just don't want to waste them. And that's it. That's pretty much what and I'm still doing my yes thing. Like, Mark, let's go do this. And if I'm not going to die doing it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. If I want to do it, of course. If I want to do it, I'm not going to die. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And to me, that makes it's amazing. You're just like, dude, I just did that. That was awesome. The one thing I'm discovering is, human beings, at least me, we're never satisfied. And so that's what I'm finding out. Like, no matter what I do, okay, this is going to make me happy. Quitting my job is going to take stresses away, and I'm going to be happy, and I'll be good. Not that I wasn't happy before, but I'll be happier, put it that way. And so then you do it, and you're like, there's something missing, right? No matter what you do, there's something missing. And then in this year, I've discovered that never gets filled. There's always going to be something missing. No matter what I do, no matter how much money I make or don't make, no matter where I go, there's a little hole there that'll never be filled. And that's good, because I want to try to fill it. It's not going to be filled. I want to try to fill it. And that trying to fill it is what my life's going to be about.
Do you think that's part of like the like part of the structure of life, however it came to be, where that's part of the process?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Just imagine if you were completely satisfied with your life. You wouldn't do shit. You wouldn't do a damn thing. You just sit there and be satisfied. But that's not how we're built. Whether we admit it or recognize it or not, there's things that we want. There's things we want to do. There are things. We're not complete beings. I don't think we're made like that. I think there's something that's missing, or we think it's missing. Probably isn't. It's probably all there. Happiness is within us and all that, But,
all that bullshit.
Pretty much. But that little desire is there too. And whether you admit it or not, there are things that we're chasing, whether it's happiness or a girl or a dude or, escape or, whatever. And we're going to go ahead and look for that. And then for me, that's what my life is. That little, I wouldn't call it a search. I wouldn't call it a journey. I wouldn't even call it a path. It's just trying to fill that little, and sometimes it's a tiny thing, little tiny hole. Like, I want to go back to school. Well, what for? That shit is expensive, and you can learn from a lot of people. You don't need to go to school for a certificate, but there's something inside of us that's telling us, man, we need to go for this. And then when we get it, we're like, all right, well, that was cool, but now what? What am I going to do now? And then find something else.
So do you have that, because I think you're right. Like, for me, I agree with you totally. I think that there is always that little part of us that isn't going to be satisfied. Yeah. That even when you find so-called peace and quiet and content in your life, it lasts it's a blink of an eye. Right. And then almost instantly you're itching again and you're trying to decide and move. And we never really feel totally comfortable. Right. Do you have, like, what are some of the things that you've done over the past year where you maybe have gotten to that point? And is it a slow build where you kind of realize? Because I think sometimes it's like human nature where we're always going to be reaching for more, but then when we think we get there, then that's going to be it. Like, we're good, we're golden, right? Yeah. And you realize, no, there's more.
There's no end, man. Let me think. So before, when I was doing my Year Without Fear thing, my book, I thought, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. Like, I'll run a marathon, I'll do all these things. And they were awesome. They're great. And then when you finish them, it's not a disappointment. It's just like, oh, okay, I did that. That was amazing, But you're not, it doesn't satiate you. You're not like, I'm done. No, you're like, shit, I want to do some more. Yeah. And so there's so many things that I want to do, but I realize that once I do them, it isn't gonna end. You know, I'm gonna want to do other stuff, and I think that's the purpose of that feeling of not being complete. There's a purpose, a reason for that, at least for me, and I'm glad it's there. I know that it'll never be filled in. That little hole will never be filled in, but it's not a bad thing. You know, I feel comfortable with the idea that I'm not going to be satisfied. And that little thinking or acknowledgement or realization makes me feel good. You know, I get it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't need to be satisfied. Why?
Well, you kind of find satisfaction in that thought, right?
Just understanding that it ain't going to happen, man. And so it just opens everything up. And that's another thing that I've discovered, to be like an open person as opposed to like sheltering yourself, building walls, you know, the metaphorical wall building and all that. Man, if you can just be open and just start tearing down those little walls that we put up, you can do anything. I know it's cheesy. I don't give a shit. It's cheesy, but it's true. You know, you can do any damn thing. And so I'm realizing that now. It's really a cool thing.
Is it the type of thing that you're trying to do it, like with, you know, all your relationships throughout life, man, and friendships and things like that?
Everything.
And then are you taking that extra step to go inside and try to do it internally as well?
That's where it starts. You're not being open from the outside in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That goes from the inside first, and then you open up, and then you're like, oh shit, that was cool. Like, especially in relationships, you know, you're just like, it's real easy once you have a relationship and it ends. It's real easy to kind of be like building that wall and protecting your heart and your emotions. And then you meet the next person and you're all closed up. So they spend all their energy trying to break you down and find the real you. And by that time they're tired. You know, I don't want to rip your walls down. I just want to meet you with no walls. You know what I mean? But that doesn't happen very often. But I just want to be open.
So tell me, because I think it's a great way to, like, that's what I strive to do as much as I can.
Yeah.
And it's constantly challenging, and it's a practice, and I suck at it, you know, probably more than I succeed at it.
Yep, me too.
But what do you do specifically, like in your mind, when you think about that? If you were going to tell somebody that concept and idea somebody might resonate with, but then they're like, that's fine.
Yeah,
what the hell do I do? How do I do that?
Yeah. You know what it's like? This kind of like abstract, I'm just going to call it abstract thinking, because it's not concrete for sure. Like if you ever been to a seminar, and I'm sure you have, you probably taught some, and the person presenting gives this great idea, whatever it is. It's a beautiful, you're like, yes. And I always compare it to like a hippopotamus, right? They're giving you this giant hippopotamus, and it's yours. And it's amazing. And it was worth the $120 you paid to go to the seminar. And you're like, yes, I can't wait to get this home. But how do you get it home? You got hippopotamus. How are you going to get it home? You can't take it on the plane. You can't put it in a car. You know? And so what do? Do you dice it up? Do you take a leg home? You know?
Yeah.
Now the hippo's a three-legged hippo somewhere, and you got the foot. What are you going to do with it? So that's a good question. So when I don't go, okay, I'm going to meet this girl. She's fine as hell. I'm going to be as open as I can. I mean, you just
it's not a conscious thing necessarily.
It's just not like that. It's a thing where you're like, I always start mine with the judgment. I always catch myself ever since I was young. It's human. We use it to protect ourselves, but judging, you know. So if I see a dude, like I just took my son, he just turned 9, to water park. There was this big old cat, probably my size, maybe a little bigger, and blonde ponytail, big dude. And sometimes I used to make stories up about people, like, oh, he's like this because this probably happened to him, or he's not taking his shirt off because he's embarrassed about being overweight. Or I make these big old stories I'm making up, and I just stopped doing that. So we saw this big dude, and I I saw him and I'm like, I ain't going to make it. I don't even know this dude. If I want to know him, I'm going to go up to him and be like, hey, what's up, man? My name's Mark, blah, blah, blah. And then let him tell me the story. I'm not going to make up a story. So part of being open for me is not coming up with these judgments and these little stories that I always, I just make up and try to figure people out. And really, I have no idea. I don't know that person. And it's the same thing if I'm dating somebody. I'm going to learn about them. I'm not going to put all my shit on them. I'm just going to be, without saying open too much. I probably said it 50 times already. But without using that word, I'm just going to accept. Mm-hmm. Just let it come in. The good stuff, the shitty stuff, just let it come in. And then I can deal with it. But if I'm shut off to that, if I'm like, oh, this dude right here, he's a big dude. He doesn't know how to eat. Well, why is he that big? Because I feel like I have insight because I was that big too. I'm still that big. But when I think I know something and I really don't, that's a wall for me. Yeah. And if I recognize that, I'm making walls because I think I know and I don't, I don't know shit. Then it becomes open. So that's one of the big things for me is not putting my story or what I think on somebody else, whether I'm in a relationship with them or they're walking by, So
it's really challenging though.
Oh, dude.
Like if you stop and think about, like if you take a look at yourself, because as you're talking, I'm sitting there thinking about how common that is. I do that a lot.
Yeah,
like you're moving throughout your day and people that you meet and everything like that. And we always want to put them in some sort of context,
right?
In some box or something like that, where now we can understand where they're coming from, who they are.
Yeah.
And then it gives us some ability to relate to them. Like, what do I need to show up as and how do I need to represent myself so that I can communicate and interact with this person?
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, just staying in that space of like, whatever is whatever, right?
Yeah.
However they are. But then I think because I think it's a noble thing to do, and I think it's a good way to move through life.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, that's super challenging for me because then it's going to put me in that space.
You're vulnerable.
Where I'm very vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Now I have to see, like, I can't put any of my story in pretext of what I want them to see and what I want them to kind of pick up on.
Because you're open to be open
now. To it.
You're open. You're vulnerable. That's the big thing. You're not trying to protect yourself. Like, one of my, a girl I was seeing a while ago, we used to joke, she was like a dragon, fire breathing, and she was like fierce, and that's how her personality was. And I just wanted to be a knight, but I didn't want any armor. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be not a naked knight, but I didn't want any armor on. And I didn't want a sword. I just wanted to be a knight with no sword and no armor, but brave. The one that came up and was friends with the dragon. I don't want to conquer a dragon. I just wanted to be open to it. And if I died, I died. And that's kind of how I am now. I'm like, if I die, literally or figuratively, I die. But I am gonna be an open person. Just like when I see somebody, they're driving down the street and they got a Confederate flag in the back of the truck. I want to make so many stories up about them, and it's almost like protection, like this dude, or I see a guy and he's maybe on meth or whatever. I'm not going to be like, hey man, what's up? The Confederate flag dude, I don't have a problem to say, hey, what's going on? Because I don't know the whole story. I can guess, but it's only a guess. And, if I saw some guys in the KKK, outfits walking down the street, I'm going to go like, hey, dude, how's it going? I'm going to be a little closed, but I want to be open.
You want to be open.
I want to be. Think of like the greatest, I wouldn't say people, this, people that I like, that I think were open people. I watch them with other people. And they're fearless, and that's the key. They are fearless. Like think of the everybody knows, like Gandhi, Mother Teresa. They're fearless, and They were fearless, and man, that would be cool to be like that. But I don't know if I could do it. Well, I would try. I can try. But
well, tell me, because I want to ask you, and hopefully it's not too personal, and hopefully you're cool talking about it. But you've had a couple relationships, and the only reason I know that is because I follow you on Facebook.
Yeah, and I write about it. So yeah,
you do, which is good, right? You open up and you share about it.
They don't think it's good sometimes. You wrote that shit. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put your name in it.
But do you think that thing that you're trying to do, that process of remaining open, do you think that may be some of the reasons why some of your relationships didn't end up working out, because people struggle in that space?
Oh, it's uncomfortable, man. It ain't cool sometimes. And the other thing is, when I was talking about stories, we do that in our relationship too. Like, before you get in a relationship and you make up a story about how it's going to end or how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And then you compare, and it's totally fiction. And then you compare what's really happening to your story. And then when it doesn't match up, you're upset. You're not open to what's really happening. You've made the story up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to be happy. We're going to have goats.
Yeah.
Right. And if it doesn't line up with that, then sometimes we get upset about, and then this relationship's not working out because it's not lining up with this imaginary story that we told ourselves. And that becomes, we're closing ourselves off to all the possibilities of different things, maybe even more amazing than goats happening, right?
Yeah.
We close ourselves off to that. We're not open to that. And so sometimes I think relationships fail because we have a preconceived thing of how it's going to end, and it doesn't follow that path. And then nothing satisfies, like we don't, this is not working out. And the reason it's not working out is because, in my opinion, it's not following that image or that story or that fiction.
Did you find yourself doing that? Like,
I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. Yeah. And I haven't done that for a while. Like when I started my Year Without Fear thing, that was the beginning of me not doing that. And not only that, but not putting my story on the other person of this is how you should be, this is how you should treat me, this is how. No, I don't do that anymore. What I do now is, this is how you are. Can I accept it or not? If I can't accept it, we're breaking up. If I can accept it, then we're good. I'm not going to complain about it. This is how you are. This is how I am. Because I can't change, man. We can change like minimum, like little things, but our like spirit and our true, like who we really are, I honestly believe that's hard. That's difficult.
You don't think you can change that aspect of you?
I think you probably could, but like I said, it's difficult. I mean, it takes some mindful shit going down,
I think that part of us, I don't think it changes, because in our mind that's a black and white difference, right?
Right.
Where we go from being this way to that way.
And it doesn't.
I think that part of us evolves.
Sure.
Shifts and changes and grows in that way.
Yeah, and then growth is probably a better term. It's growing. It's not. I mean, you're changing, but you're still made up of the same shit that you were. It's just a transformation of it. And so. Because
you're different. I mean, you're a different guy than you were a year ago when we sat down.
Most definitely, yeah. Most definitely. And it's a good thing, but it doesn't come from the outside like we were talking before, And every time I say shit like this, I'm like, this is the cheesiest shit.
Well, tell me, why do you think that shit's cheesy? Like, what's your hesitance to that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I went to this concert with my friend Lena. Her husband and a couple other people. We went to this. I can't remember the guy's name. NACO. Have you heard of that?
NACO?
The Medicine for the People. NACO.
No. It sounds like something I probably should have heard of.
You should have. Yeah, I've never heard of them. And if somebody's listening, they know, and they think I'm a dumbass because I don't know who that is. I am a dumbass. Anyways, we went to the concert, and it was cool, man. And everybody was like minded people, and it was kind of like on the hippie side a little bit for my taste, you know. But it was cool. But there are some I couldn't get past, and this is a problem that I have. I couldn't get past a certain thought, like a judgment. Basically, I was judging these guys. They were doing good music. And everybody was raising their hands and, you know, swaying back and forth and having a good time and getting into it. And my middle finger was in the air, like, fuck you guys. But I didn't say that, but it was just up there.
Like,
and
literally?
Literally. And then I looked at my friend Lena, and she just shook her head like, why did I bring you to this? But and those guys were really good. I liked them, and I would go again, and I wouldn't flip them off or anything. And it wasn't really towards them. It was just like, fuck this. I just didn't want to. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I just get like that sometimes. I'm not sure why I do that. But if it feels like concocted or contrived or something, or I don't know. I want to push away from it instead of embracing it. And that's where my openness and being closed happens. Something happens and I'm like immediately shut off to it. And I don't want to do that, even with these guys, especially with guys who just make good music. And so, you know, I don't know why I do that kind of thing.
It's been funny because I follow I see your shit pop up on Facebook all the time, right? Uh-huh. And it's so funny because I think about, like, I do this all the time and I get a kick out of it where, I mean, we haven't talked since we last sat down and had an interview, right?
Over a year?
Over a year ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I kind of know what you've been up to and what's been going.
Yeah. And
then you share so much when you write at times.
Right.
And almost like a snapshot and insight into where you're at emotionally and mentally and things like that. And I can kind of get a feeling for what you're going through and what you're experiencing. And one of the things that I find humorous, I think it's funny, and I don't, not making fun of you in any kind of way, but
go ahead, man. I'm good.
You talk about these big, huge ideas and these concepts.
Right.
And when you start talking about, like, for example, you had this one post where you talk about where, like, you could feel somebody was sad around you.
Yeah, it was a trip too.
Like, you could have that feeling where you knew you were happy, like there wasn't anything wrong, everything was cool, but yet you had this feeling of somebody was sad.
Right.
But you couldn't pin it down, you couldn't figure out what it was or whatever, but you had a real physical feeling and reaction to it. And I'm sitting there reading that and I'm just kind of laughing to myself because I'm like, that shit's so, I mean, there's an aspect of it where we could go like way crazy, hippie, metaphysical, and look at it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. And people do that.
Right.
But for me, it's just normal. Like, that's just a realization. Do you know what I mean? But so many people don't have that realization.
Right.
And you have resistance to that stuff. And so, like, what do you think that is? Like, what aspect of that?
Idea. So let me give you a story real quick. So
turn towards the mic for me.
Something happened to with my back, right? Mm-hmm. Just recently. And so I went down to the river and I guess it's cold and I was like, I'm going to get in here. And so I took a picture and I put it up on the internet, Facebook, and I just put like, let the river heal you or whatever. And my daughter, who's 17, got on there and goes, Dad, that's so hippie. And I'm like, no shit, that was hippie. And so I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not a hippie though. And so everybody who knows me, my good friends, my family, my daughter, my sons, they're like, Dad, you're like a hippie. I'm like, I'm not a fucking hippie. I'm not. And I don't know why I'm resistant to that. Maybe just because of the label. And I don't know. I can't answer that. I have no idea.
It's so funny though, right? Because it is just a label, right?
Yeah, it's not even bad. It's not a bad thing. Yeah.
And the things that we would stereotypically classify people as, that fall into that category of being a hippie or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you said, those aren't bad things.
They're not bad at all.
But yet, if you were to post something, jiu-jitsu related,
right,
and somebody called you out and say, hey, you're a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be resistant to that label. embrace that in a sense, and you can kind of wear that one a little bit easier than you could if somebody
weird,
said that, you were a hippie. But I don't know, because I think, I'm drawing attention to it because I'm talking to you, but everybody's got those, right? Everybody's got those things about themselves that they don't want to be labeled as. Right. They don't want to think that they kind of fall into that space or whatever the case may be.
Even if it's true.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And so I follow you and I see all your stuff and I'm just like give into it. Just relax into that and accept it.
And I'm always like, oh, acceptance, be open. I'm like, no, I'm not open to that. I'm closed. Give me my armor, man.
Do you think that goes way back to like early childhood stuff of things that were
because
it
doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So there's something in there that will not let me embrace it, whatever it is. And that, not only that, just a lot of things, but the good news is for me is after time, I find myself embracing things and being open to things that I thought I never would be. Running, for example, when you're over 300 pounds, you don't run. Most people, I don't. And I would just talk shit about it, run it, blah, 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 And then I started running and I'm like, oh man, I love this. And so.
Would you call yourself a runner?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I run. I'm not good, but I run. Mm-hmm. And I had an English teacher one time. She said, well, Mark, are you a writer? I think I was a freshman in high school or something. And I'm like, no. And she goes, well, do you write? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, well, you're a writer then. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If you do it, you're it.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm doing some hippie shit. I don't know. But everybody else seems to think I am, even though I don't. But, I don't know. I don't get it.
Tell me about that experience where you felt like you could feel somebody else's feelings.
Oh, yeah. So it's happened a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And it's probably happened a ton, and I just didn't realize what was going on. So basically what happened was I'm sitting there and I just feel you just feel sad. And then you think, and this never happened to me before, you just feel sad, and then you go out in your day and you take that sadness with you and you act sad and you're sad. But for some reason I was like, wait, no, I'm not sad. I felt sad, but I'm not, there's no reason to be sad. Nothing's happened. Where's this coming from? And it was just it was just a heavy feeling, like boom, and then I realized this is somebody else's thing. This is not mine. And even I hated to admit that to myself because, this sounded like some hokey shit. And I think I probably felt this way like that a lot. But just kind of been like, well, this is how I feel. And it's not coming from anywhere else. But anyway, so I had that feeling. And so I texted my friend for some reason. And it was actually my ex-girlfriend, one of them. And I'm like, hey, is everything good with you? I just texted her. I hope you're doing okay, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of days later, she texted me back, and she'd been hiking. And that day I texted her, she was crying in the desert, hiking by herself, and just was super emotional. And so she was like, dude, what? This is so weird because I was so sad. I was like, oh shit, this is what it was. At least, I don't know if that's true, but it could have been. And for some reason, it was her that I thought of, and then anyways, so I don't know. It's just weird shit. I don't like to really even deal with it. It's just weird. It just makes me feel weird, and it probably shouldn't.
Do you think it makes you feel weird because you don't understand it? Oh,
definitely. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it was just pure coincidence. I mean, I think we're connected somehow, especially if we had a relationship with someone. I mean, there has to be something more than, it just has to be. But at the same time, I don't think I have anything to do with that. but maybe I do. I just don't want to look at it like that. It's like flipping off the band. Why you can do flip? These guys are talking about peace and love and shit, and you're being a dick.
And you're flipping them off.
Yeah, because you don't want to like go ahead and agree with them, even though they might be right. So I don't know, but that's what happened. And so now I've had that feeling a couple of times since then. I'm like, nope, I'm not sad. And so I'm just like, I'll send a message. And
I was going to say, do you try to connect to it now?
Yeah.
And kind of see what it
I'm just
up?
like, maybe somebody needs my help, or just a kind word, or, something, without, giving myself superpowers or anything. I'm just like, there's something going on that I can't really explain, but it's there, and I'm just going to face it, be open to it, really. Even though my open valve is shut sometimes and opens and shuts and opens, I would like it to be open all the time.
I think it's the type of thing that probably can't be.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's even, we may not be able to be like that. I mean, some people, they have to. It just seems like amazing.
Yeah.
I'll just put it this way. I'd like to be more open, if not totally.
Well, do you want me to throw a bunch of labels at you and describe what I would typically describe that experience of feeling somebody else's feelings as?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I think that, have you ever heard of the term or the phrase, somebody that's an empath?
Yeah, so Lena, the same, she was like, she threw that out. I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
It's real common for like school teachers to naturally be empathic. And that tends to be why they go into that field, because they have a natural ability to connect to people and, kids, and help them in the space. And even if it's not directly like I'm helping this student that's struggling or challenged, still be able to be in that space.
Let me ask you the question then, because I don't really know a ton about this stuff. But so if you're that empathic, do you feel, how do I explain it? So a lot of times in the classroom, I'll have kids, and I deal with them, and we talk, and we have relationships, and we, and then some days I feel exhausted, and it's usually when a kid, maybe one, maybe two, maybe five, they're going through some shit, and they're talking to me, or I'm even reading their writing about a topic or whatever. And then after, and I think this is probably just human, but I just feel like I'm carrying their shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let me ask you this other thing, because you probably know this. So there's one thing. I used to get drained sometimes. And the other thing is, I don't really like to look people in the eye. And it's not because I'm a murderer or, antisocial, or because one of my ex-girlfriends was like, you never look me in the face, especially when we first started. And I just don't.
Like, you're having a hard time doing it as we're sitting here talking.
Right. And so I never really, she pointed it out, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't. I look every, around the face, and sometimes I look, to the ground, and I thought at first maybe it was just cultural, like that's how I was raised, you just don't make that kind of, in some cultures they don't make as much eye contact as some other cultures, blah, blah, blah. But then I started thinking about it, and this is going to sound weird, I'm going to say cheesy again. I started thinking about it, and I don't want to know that person that well. Like, I don't want to know them by looking them in the eye, and I don't want them to know all my shit. Like, it's just, if I look somebody in the face, all this shit comes out of there. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Okay. Like, all this stuff comes rushing out, and I don't want that. If it's my girlfriend, we've been going out, blah, 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 then okay, I can take it. But I don't want to look at somebody in the face. And it's not like information. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a bunch of stuff. It is information. No, I take that back. It is information. But it's not like, I'm 5'3", I've been married 4 times. It's not that kind of information. It's just like I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, so those two things, eye contact and just the feeling of, like taking somebody's like their whatever they're going through.
Yeah, taking their shit
almost
away.
like carrying it. It is just a weird kind of thing. So I'm not too sure about those things.
Yeah.
And I'm even really proud of myself for asking because,
Does it make you feel way uncomfortable?
yeah, you're just like, dude, I don't even want to talk about this kind of stuff, man. I don't even want to. Unfortunately, I don't even want to be open to a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think, man, yeah, hell yeah, you do. You want to. That's what you want.
I was going to say, you talk about like, I don't want to look
Exactly.
people in the eye because I don't want, but yet,
Yeah,
how
It's
that's
a-
the
it's a
antithesis of you
paradox.
being open,
It's
right?
a paradox, man. I want to be open, but I don't want to be that open.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what to do with it. That maybe that's a better way to look at it. If you're open, like you were talking about, it's a struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with all that shit that's coming in? It's not necessarily a bad stuff, but what do you do with it?
Yeah.
I mean, do you process it through your own? And then like, shit, you're sad. Now I'm sad, man. Get out of here. I don't want that. So I don't know.
I'll give you, so we'll get way hippie spiritual for you, okay?
I'm going to flip you off in about 5 seconds.
You
man.
walk off with your hand up in the air. And this is my take on it, right?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I have beliefs and I have ideas.
Right.
And some of these things they hit right into the area of my beliefs. Like I believe this shit.
Okay. Yeah.
And then some of it's just my ideas.
Right.
And so I think you're just a natural empath.
Okay.
But I think everybody is.
Okay, good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think everybody has that ability because if you describe it in the sense, so if I describe it, you're here because we're here recording at your school and everything
Right.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody walks in and you say, "Hey man, what's going on? How are you? Hi."
Yeah.
You can instantaneously feel
Yeah.
if there's something going on.
You go with your gut, right?
Right.
That's like that gut feeling.
Mhm. Everybody's got that and everybody
Yeah.
recognizes that.
Yeah.
And that's an empath in a sense.
Okay,
That's
that
the-
makes sense.
That's the ability to tap into something that isn't being said or
Right.
something that you can't see. You can just
kind of
feel
feeling,
it,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
everybody's got that. Everybody
Okay,
accepts that.
yeah.
We're okay with that.
Yes. Yeah.
You,
I'm okay with that.
the reason I think that you feel it so strongly at times, the reason why you have this unconscious behavior that you've probably had your whole life,
Right.
where you don't like looking people in the eye,
Yeah.
is because you have it's like everything else, right? If we're going to teach somebody jiu-jitsu, everybody can do it,
Right.
but not everybody's fucking kick ass at it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Some people get on the mat and they're just, you can just tell, right?
Yeah,
They'll come
yeah.
heavy for 2 weeks and the next thing you know, they're jumping levels and that you can
Yeah,
just accelerating
They're
because
phenomenal. Yeah.
they've got something.
Yeah.
But everybody can do it,
Right.
but not everybody's going to be
Good
a
at it.
skilled, proficient
Yeah.
master at it in a sense.
it.
And so everybody's an empath, but there's something about you that you're just a little bit more connected in that way.
All right.
I think that's probably why you're a school teacher. I think that's probably
Yeah.
why you were one for so long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
probably why people are drawn to you and connect to you in a sense.
Okay.
But then you find yourself still insulating and putting up some
Yeah.
of those
Oh,
walls and
yeah.
those barriers
Yeah.
because you can feel all this shit that they're
Yeah.
bringing.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
And like to go really kind of on this deep level, and it's not deep, it's just hippie dumb shit, but it's just vibration. It's just energy that's
Yeah.
out there. And so you say, well, what am I supposed to do with it? Right.
Right.
I don't want to look somebody in the eye, or I don't want to connect with them, or you have those experiences that you can recall where you had all this shit and you're like, God, I just feel tired and exhausted. And I took
Yeah.
on all this stuff.
Right.
And so a lot of times, at least for me personally, because I feel the same way, do I feel like I'm super naturally connected and empathic to people? Yeah, I do. But even me, I don't like necessarily walking around describing or defining myself that way.
Yeah.
And so when I brought awareness to it and started to look at it in a different way, not like having to suddenly define myself and now this is going to be
This
my
is
new
who I
mission in
am.
life.
Yeah.
And-
No, hell no.
No, it's just like recognizing that there's something else out there and I can bring awareness to it. Then I had an easier time recognizing it when I would pop up.
Yeah.
And then
weird.
also an easier time of not taking everybody's shit.
Yeah.
And not bringing all that baggage.
Or just recognizing, like, this ain't mine.
Yeah.
That was huge
That is
for
huge.
me. I was like, this is not my shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird, but it was cool. I was like,
but then you have that extra step of where because this is the way that I think like the subtle universe kind of intertwined with everything kind of works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're going to have a feeling, you're going to have something pop up and you're not going to recognize it. And then your thought pattern and the process of thought that comes after that is the universe, whether you want to think of it feeding you information,
right,
or you suddenly standing up into that flow of energy where you're receiving the information. It doesn't matter how you want to look at it. But suddenly these thoughts that follow afterwards are where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you've had these experiences in the last little while, right? Last year, 6 months, whatever.
Yeah, about the year.
Because you're doing all of this other shit to open up, all of these other practices, right? Not just with yoga and mindfulness and the ways that you're kind of approaching life, but the combination of all of them.
Right.
So it's giving you the ability to be open to this stuff even more.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, oh, I thought of her. I sent her a text. Turns out that it was really kind of a coincidence and kind of a synchronistic thing where, she probably benefited from getting that little bit of connection and information.
Yeah. And it actually, she said that helped me so much when I saw that.
See?
Yeah.
And who knows what the reason is for, right?
Exactly.
That's the fun part for me, is where I get to sit back and like I let my imagination go wild, where I'm like, what is the reason for all this shit?
Yeah.
And I don't ever think it's one. It's not ever a definitive, this was the exact reason. I think there's multiple reasons, and all of them are right.
Yeah.
And so you needed to connect with her in that moment, even if it was just to lift her spirits a little bit, make her smile, give her a little warm feeling. Maybe it was something way more drastic that you were able to kind of help in the experience of staring her away from something.
Yeah. Could have been.
And then at the same time, it helps you in your own growth and recognition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All those kind of things that happen.
Yeah.
You just got to be open to it.
Exactly. Like you said, though, that shit is not easy, man.
You can practice it.
Yeah. And what's happening now to me is like, at first I was afraid of everything. Not really, but there was some fear things that I wanted to deal with. And now I've got, shit still scares me. I mean, if a grizzly bear came in here, I'd be shitting my pants. But that's not the fear I'm talking about. The fear of the limiting kind of, your self-prison kind of thing. But that's pretty much, I recognize that when that starts happening, when that little voice starts saying, "Dude, you sure?" I'm like, yeah, I'm sure, man. Get out of here. I'm doing what I want to do. That's no problem. I'm good with that. But now I'm addressing being open to things, and there's still fear in that. That's the thing. There's fear in being open, and we're closed. At least I am when I'm afraid of something. But figuring out what I'm actually afraid of is the difficult part. Hey, Mark, you're a hippie. Why am I afraid of that? I don't get that. These guys are up here saying about love and this, and why am I afraid of that? Or, like you said, resistant to it. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's where writing helps me a ton. I'm like, I want to look at this.
Yeah.
I want to take it and I want to look at it. And that helps. It helps a ton.
Well, I got some challenges for you.
Oh, God. You had a challenge for me last time about chakras, and I didn't do shit about it. But I did have some friends of mine who are Reiki masters come in, and they did a cool little thing where they touch your head and you see stuff.
And you could see and feel shit, right?
It was so weird and awesome at the same time. And there's about 10 or 15 of us sitting in a circle, and they just did our head because there were so many of us. But then they'd ask, what did you see anything, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was sharing, this happened, and I saw that, I felt this, and they got to me, and I was like, pass. Because I didn't want to say, I was like, I ain't saying shit.
Yeah, you didn't want to share it.
Nope. And so they just went on, and I was like, I ain't telling nobody. I did end up telling.
You did see stuff though, right?
Yeah, it was so weird.
Yeah, it's funky.
Oh, dude, it was a trip. But I was like, and that's the same thing, I didn't want being resistant to it, or, reluctant to kind of accept. I mean, it was a strange.
Well, think about your life. And whether it's the last year or the last 5 years, think about how much you've grown in the experience of challenging yourself with hard things.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it would be, whatever it is, you maybe have a little bit of fear, maybe it takes you a little bit of while, but the more you practice it, the easier it is to say, yes, I'm going to move through these challenges and these hard things.
Yeah.
Because I see all the growth that I get from it and all like this huge benefit personally from all of those experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. And more people need to challenge themselves to do the things that make them uncomfortable.
Right.
So I got to practice for you.
All right. I'm
Something
not
that you
guaranteeing I'm going to do it, but I'll listen. I'll be open to it.
There
Go
you
ahead.
Just be open to it. So there's this thing in the space of like spirituality and energy healing and all sorts of metaphysical shit.
Okay.
Face gazing is what it's called. And so it's probably got its lineage and whatever, dating back who knows how long ago or whatever.
What's it called? Face
gazing.
Face gazing.
And so literally it's super easy. You're just sitting in front of somebody staring at their face.
There's no way.
And whether you want to...
There's no way.
Hold on a minute. So whether you want to focus on their eyes, focus on their nose, focus on their forehead, it doesn't matter what it is.
Okay.
But you just sit in that space and literally say nothing and stare. And what happens is in that space, you'll start to see, and when I say this is exactly what happens, your experience might be different, right? There's somebody out there that's done it. It might be different.
Yeah.
But their face slowly starts to morph and change. And depending upon whatever it may be, the timing, the experience, the person, your energy, whatever, their face may shift and change into something like frightening or scary, or sometimes like I've seen like faces change into almost something that I would describe like an animal, or something you start to see like
a demon
or, a muzzle or something like that appear. And then if you stay in it longer and the longer you practice it, some really, really crazy cool shit happens.
So how long do you do it?
The goal, and when I say goal, like do it as long as you can do it, right? Because it's a meditation in a sense too, where it's that space where you're going to go
So how
quiet.
do you find somebody? You're like, hey girl, can I gaze at your face?
Well, the challenging thing is it doesn't have to be with an intimate partner.
Yeah, I get that, but
Like, you can do it with anybody,
putting
right?
that, dude, I don't know.
The fact is it's going to open you up.
Okay, well, then I'll try it.
Because you're going to...
Because I'm already uncomfortable with that, so I might as well go into that challenge.
Right? Like that gives you a bunch of resistance.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right off the bat, you're like, fuck no.
And it's like running a marathon. Like, dude, I don't know if I really want to do this, but I'm probably going to.
And when it comes to being an empath, like, stop thinking about it in the sense of like...
A curse?
Not only a curse, but like you don't have to, just because you can feel what somebody else is feeling.
Yeah.
You don't have to take any of it.
Yeah, when I said it's not mine, I'm like, that was the first time I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good, man. Yeah, it was.
And that takes practice.
Was weird. Yeah.
And like the more you practice that space of being there and feeling somebody or trying, like you can get to a point where you can try to connect to people.
Yeah.
Rather than just waiting for it to come out of the blue. And when you try to practice it and you go into it consciously, then you can get more stuff and it kind of gets real funky and weird. But at the same time, it gives you it's almost, I mean, it's like any other muscle that you work, right? It's going to give you the ability to kind of separate those boundaries where I don't want to take any of this with me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't need any of this. This isn't my stuff. And then it's going to, I mean, like anything else, it's going to open you up more internally within your own space.
Yeah, I dig it.
It's hard though.
Dude, I'm imagining it right now. Shit, no. Like,
Yeah,
but
it's fun though.
Yeah.
And it can be fun.
It wouldn't hurt nothing.
So tell me about, because I know you travel and is it Ragnar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
So I got my sister works for Ragnar, the relay race company, and they need some people to work in their merchandise tent. And she was like, Mark, you're not teaching anymore. Can you get away from jiu-jitsu? And like 5 days at a time. And you can travel. You can go around. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And so I've been doing it. It's my second year, and I've been to I'm going to West Virginia again coming up, and Rainier, Washington, and Lake Tahoe, just all kind of New
All over the
York.
place.
Yeah.
How long are you usually there for?
For about 5 days.
Yeah.
And so we set up one day, basically sell for 3 and then take down and then travel back home by Sunday. But yeah, man, the thing is, I would have never, I started doing that job when I was still working, the end of my English teacher deal. But I would have never done that if I wasn't open to it. And so that's when I started realizing, man, I gotta be available for stuff that I don't think that I would normally be available to. Because normally I would have been like, no, shit, I gotta work. That's 5 days.
Yeah.
Can't take that. And I was like, nah, screw it. I'm gonna do it. And then, so I did it. And then I was like, oh, I really like that. So I'm still doing it. And
how often do you get to go?
I go once a month during the race season,
Mm-hmm.
which is usually from April to about November. So I go to 1 or 2, sometimes 3 a month, but usually 1 or 2. And then I have people that run my jiu-jitsu school when I'm gone because they're awesome. And so yeah, I'm traveling, 5 to 10 days a month, and it's really good, man. You meet all kinds of cool people. Get to run. That's the thing. Like we get to run the trails. I only do trail races. They have road races too, but I don't. I want to be out in nature, man. I don't want to be on no damn highway. That's just not my thing. But so we get to run the trails and be out. It's been really cool. And it just reminds me to be open to stuff. Like even things if you would have asked me in high school what I would be doing for a living, it wouldn't be this. It just wouldn't be. I mean, I wanted to be a teacher, but then I thought, oh, they don't make enough money. So I wanted to be something else. And I found myself doing this that secretly maybe I really did dream about when I was younger, but it just didn't make any sense. But now I'm like, hell yeah.
Does it make sense now?
Oh yeah, of course it does. It was like destined to be almost like, of course I'm supposed to be doing this. Why wouldn't I? And there's other things that I'm sure if I'm just open to it, they'll happen too. Like maybe things I don't even recognize that I want to do.
What's the last thing that you can think of that was like that?
Where I thought this will never happen, that kind of thing?
Like something that had you not been open to, you would have missed out on this experience or this new thing that you're starting to incorporate into your life or whatever the case may be.
Well, of course, running always comes up because I thought it was a stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why would people do that? And then running ties in with Ragnar, of course, and that's part of the reason I took the job because I like running so much. I was like, man, I get to run too and get paid. I'm doing it. But it was that, and it just seems like when we talked last time, we talked about saying yes to everything, within reason, and that's made a huge difference. Like things that I would normally talk myself out of, I was doing, and even being owning a jiu-jitsu school. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be. I used to watch Kung Fu theater all the time. I wanted to be one of those masters, the white-haired, big, Pai Mei now, but they didn't. It wasn't Pai Mei when I was a kid, but anyways, just one of those guys that ran the temple and taught martial arts, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm that right now. I'm the master of a school, And it's funny because at the time I wanted to take martial arts, but we were too poor, we couldn't afford it. And then all of a sudden, when I was 28, I started taking jiu-jitsu. And now I'm like, oh, shit, I got my own school. It's weird.
It's cool.
It's super cool, yeah.
It's one of those things that, I always think this has been something that I've been, it's been really big for me lately where I've been thinking about it a lot and kind of analyzing it in a sense. Mm-hmm. And how common it is for people to... We're always looking forward. We're always moving forward. We're always thinking about the shit that we have to do later today and tomorrow and next week. And life's coming at me so fast, right? Yeah. And then when we take time or even when we don't take time and we look back, we always look at all the shit. Like anytime we look in the rearview mirror, we're always looking at all the things that we fucked up on, all the ways that we messed up, all the terrible experiences that we went through. And then we turn around and face forward again, and then just look at all the things that we have to survive through. And so I'm trying to constantly, when I take a minute to look back, whether it's on the week, on the month, on the year, whatever the case may be, rather than looking at all the ways that I failed or all the ways that I didn't, quite meet what I wanted to, look at all the ways that I succeeded. And look at all the things that I've accomplished and look at where I've come, even in those short amount of times. And I mean, it's massive, right? It makes a huge difference
cool
for
shit,
me.
man. You're like, damn,
Because we don't do it.
We don't do it.
And then when we, like I said, even if it's just a short 6 months, say, right? That's enough time where you can have big changes in your life.
Huge,
in just that short amount of time. And rather than looking back and thinking about all the shit that's happened during that time, think about all the wonderful things and where you're at and what you've got to experience.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
Things.
It's amazing. You're just like, dude, and then it gets me all hyped and amped because I'm like, oh shit, I got some life to live still. I don't know how much, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that and see what happens. And I haven't put myself in these little narrow pathways anymore. I'm just like I used to think, okay, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna do this. Now I'm like, I've already done all that kind of shit. I'm gonna get married. Now I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, I just want to, I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. And whatever, and I even teach jiu-jitsu like that now, which is really weird. And some people are like, what the hell? And so in jiu-jitsu, you know this, but you're trying to make somebody submit, right? You're trying to tap them. For a lot of people, that's the goal of jiu-jitsu. But now for me, that's not the goal of jiu-jitsu. The goal of jiu-jitsu is to practice jiu-jitsu. It's not to end jiu-jitsu. It's not to make somebody quit and then you don't get to do jiu-jitsu anymore, unless you start again. So I always say, okay, we're going to do jiu-jitsu, but think of it as walking in the woods. You're not even going anywhere specific. You're not going to your grandma's house. You're not going to the top of the mountain. You're just walking around, and whatever you see, you see. So if there's a submission over there and you want to pick it up, go ahead and go for that. But you're not hiking to a submission. You're walking in the forest. Oh, look at that bird. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Look at this water. Oh, this is awesome. The longer you can stay in the forest, the more it benefits you.
So like the endless perpetual roll that never ends.
It never ends. And if you never tap the guy and maybe you have a buzzer going, a timer, and that ends it and you got to leave the forest, that's okay. But you spend as much time there as possible.
Have you seen that change your game at all?
Oh, yeah, man. I don't even, if I can not tap you, I don't want to. And sometimes, because I'm a big dude, people tap because I'm like, damn, Mark, get off me, dude.
Yeah. I remember that very well.
I'm in the woods, man. I don't care. I'm in the woods, and they're like, I need to get the hell out of here. They don't want to be in the woods with a big-ass grizzly bear on them. You know what I mean? So I try to make it last as long as I possibly can without hurting the forest. You know what I mean? Without hurting my partner or without doing injustice to jiu-jitsu. I want it to be clean and good and fun. So that's pretty much how I'm living right now, where I'm just walking in the forest and whatever I see happen, I'm going to go ahead and walk towards that if I want to, I'm not like so focused on, I got to make 100 G's, which would be incredible, right? I'd have to make 100 G's this year. I'm good with if I can get some egg in my top ramen, with that. I'd give that $100,000 up to experience and be open to all these other things that I am now. And I think, and I didn't really realize this until we started talking, but I think that's my openness is probably my number one thing right now that I've consciously and probably subconsciously have been moving towards. And I'm just going to go with that and see what happens with it.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I got a title of the new book for you.
Let's hear it.
The Resistant Hippie.
I'm going to write that shit and my 100 G's are coming. The resistance. I like it, actually.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, it's good stuff, Mark.
Yeah,
As
man.
always, man. I appreciate chatting with you.
Yeah. It's not even like, it's just a conversation. That's what I dig about it. I'm
Yeah.
just bullshitting.
That's the funnest thing for
Yeah,
me.
that's the best thing.
Perfect timing, right? You said that big ass truck go by, but people want to reach out, connect with you in any way, even if it's just to fucking see what you're up to.
Yeah. So I just, I used to have a website that I don't even have a website for my jiu-jitsu school.
You don't really need them anymore.
No, I'm like, no, man, what? So I just do everything on Facebook. My kids are like, Dad, you need Instagram. This is like, I'm like, no. I already do too much on other, I don't want to. But anyways, so I write pretty much. I try to write every day. Lately, it's been off and on, but I'm back on to my game, so to speak. But anyways, it's Mark Westside Johnson is my Facebook, because there's a shit ton of Mark Johnson, and some of them are bad people. Like, I try to get this car one time, and they're like, your credit is terrible and you owe $50,000 in alimony. I'm like, I'm still married, man. I didn't.
What's the other guy?
It turned out to be another guy. And so anyways, my name of my jiu-jitsu school is Westside. So in Thailand, if you train at a school, you take that school's name as your last name.
Really?
Yeah. And so somebody will be named such and such, and their last name will be the name of their school, their Thai school, which I thought was that's awesome. So I was like, I'm just gonna put Westside in there.
That's good. I like that.
So it's Mark Westside Johnson, and then my writing is writer illustrator Mark Westside Johnson.
You got any other plans
page
to come out with anything in the near future?
I'm working on jiu-jitsu book, and it's not an instructional book. It's more like the benefits of jiu-jitsu spiritually. I hate to say that, but that's exactly what it is.
You got to throw that bit in there about just walking through the forest.
Yeah, man. It's so many lessons. It's not about choking people or arm barring them or hurting them or making them submit. It's about you and some deep shit, some spiritual, like some awareness and love and.
Well, I haven't trained
I
don't even remember the last time I trained. It's been a really, really long time. I got my long list of excuses why.
Yeah, we all do.
But that was some of my favorite times was just in that space where it's that massive amount of time of just rolling with somebody else.
Right.
And, do you know what I mean? It was somebody else that would maybe on that same level where they could go for a really long time.
Right.
You're looking for that submission, but at the same time, you're enjoying that path.
You're just a ball of humanness. It's you and another person, and you're connected to that person, and you don't want to hurt them. And at the same time, your mind's going, okay, go for this. And your sensitivity is like heightened. You're like, oh, I felt that pinky touch, my ankle. And now I'm going to sweep him. Oh, I feel him shifting his weight a little bit. And you're not even thinking that. It's just that information is just coming through your senses, and you're moving and he's moving or she's moving and you're reacting to it. And it's just like a wonderful, I just see the yin and yang symbol, which is a great symbol. When you roll, it's just, you're connected, but you're your own thing, it's just a trippy kind of thing, it's a beautiful kind of thing.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm just gonna try to get this book out. See what happens with that. But other than that, I'm just doing my jiu-jitsu school and having fun with yoga and running. And I'm gonna actually start, I'll have to say this real quick, I'm gonna start a bike company called JYB with my friend Lionel, and he makes these bikes. They're old bikes, and he chops them up and he welds them together. You've seen those, right? Sometimes they're stretched out, sometimes they're tall bikes stacked onto each other. And we're going to call it Junkyard Bikes, and everything has to be used. You can't. And so we're going to get all these bikes, chop them up, put them together, sell them. And our tagline is going to be Junkyard Bikes, and then it's going to say RE-cycle. Get it?
That's good stuff.
So anyways, I'm excited about that. It'll be fun. I
will
got
be fun.
I got about 4 or 5 bikes that Lionel has made, and they're just fun. And
See,
they're
that's the
just
cool
nice.
shit, right?
Yeah.
Like you just get to do something
And
that's
it's
going to be
open.
fun.
Like
Yeah.
no, what? No, where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always think. Like, how did this end up in my lap? And
I think you're in a good flow.
yeah, I'm just gonna go with it, man. I don't.
You're in that space
See
where the
what
universe
happens.
likes what you're doing, and
Yeah.
it keeps putting good shit in front of you.
Yeah, and I'll take it. Thank you, and
Yeah.
I'll give it back. You know, I don't pass it on or whatever. But yeah, so those 2 things are probably what I'm really thinking about the most on
Beautiful,
my mind.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Everybody go have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Yes. One of the big things for me is not putting my story or what I think on somebody else, whether I'm in a relationship with them or they're walking by. The longer you can stay in the forest, the more it benefits you. I'm still like, dude, I want to do stuff. I just want to do things. I'm going to die in however many days, and I just don't want to waste them. Man, if you can just be open and just start tearing down those little walls that we put up, you can do anything. I know it's cheesy. I don't give a shit. It's cheesy, but it's true. You know, you can do any damn thing